is about policy, I think it's going to be a good night for the Republican Party.
I know, Christine, and you reminded me of this as well, that when, in any election, and especially one that focuses on congressional districts, it literally is district by district, 435 of them. There isn't some sort of amorphous or general comment you can make about the country as a whole from that. But I guess it would depend on the pockets and where there is strength versus pockets of the country where this economic phenomenon is not being felt. How does all of that fall out?
Yeah, that is usually true, but I actually have to agree completely with Tim in that I'm not sure that many people are actually going to be voting on the economy or policies really in general. I think they're going to be voting with their heart, whether they really love or really hate Donald Trump. And if they are thinking about the economy, frankly, I think the result is somewhat mixed. Trump deserves certainly some credit for the fact that there have been 4 million jobs created in the 21 months that he's been in office. There were 4.5 million jobs created in the last 21 months of the Obama presidency. So he certainly, kept it going, didn't drive it off a cliff. But there's actually been a very modest slowdown. So he gets some credit there. When you look at do people feel that they have benefited from the tax cuts, a majority say that no, they believe that that the benefits of that went to the wealthiest 1% and went to corporations.
Feel a lot different, though, if those tax cuts were taken away?
They may. It's a good question, right? But I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily net out to be a huge benefit for the Republican Party.
That's interesting. Tim, Christy did mention the point about all these, folks who are seeing and witnessing the job boom that we've had and the numbers that, I've heard a lot of Obama folks talk about job surge under their last 20-some-odd months in office and the first 20-some-odd months for Donald Trump. As my buddy Charles Payne was remarking yesterday on one of the shows, it's the context of those jobs and you get under the weeds here and talk about how they're better paying or how all of a sudden we're seeing these pay raises going on that masks how beneficial they are. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, I think that's a huge issue. The biggest problem that small businesses have in this country right now is not being able to fill the jobs that they have open. So we do have a booming economy. We have the opportunity for work. It's a very good thing.
But are you surprised then Republicans aren't benefiting more from that? Just that?
Well, again, this is the dichotomy of this very strange election.
Right.
On the policy, I mean, the country right now, 50% of the country right now approves of the job this president's been doing on the economy. 37% of Democrats even give Trump credit for what he's done on the economy. And so is the election about policy? Is the election about your pocketbooks? And I think that's the case that we've been trying to make in these districts. We've been trying to talk to voters in these districts and show exactly how much money has gone into their pocketbooks. So, for example, in Dave Bratt's district, down in Virginia, it's about $1,750 that has gone into middle-class pocketbooks. If you extrapolate that out over 10 years for a family of 4, you're talking close to $30,000. I mean, this is real money. And so I think that's the case we're trying to make, and we're going to find out tonight if it works.
I think you both hit on a key point here, though, and Christy, you touched on as well, this notion of its personalities, too, and it's a referendum on the president, but could it not then, Christy, flip around and be a referendum, at least Republicans are hoping, to make it a referendum on controversial Democratic personalities like Nancy Pelosi, if she were to take over leadership of the House of Representatives, and that gets to galvanize, let's say, Republicans.
Well, that is certainly the gamble that people like Dave Bratt are trying to make. They're trying to make that argument. That's why when his debate with Abigail Spanberger got so much attention, because of how many times he brought up Nancy Pelosi over, in fact, many more times than he even brought up the name of his actual opponent. I just don't think that works in a midterm. I mean, midterms are almost always a referendum on the incumbent party and the incumbent president, and particularly this one because Donald Trump so very much wants to make it about him. Democrats are delighted that he wants to make it about him because we would like to make it about him too. Him and I'll say one more thing, him and healthcare. Democrats have actually been really disciplined, sometimes shocking for us, in talking about healthcare as a message and the fact that many people will see healthcare get taken away under Republican rule.
You are so going to get a presidential tweet, Chrissy, but thank you. Kidding. Chrissy, and thank you very, very much. Ended with Chrissy talking about healthcare and how big an issue that is. The former health and